right.
Yeah. You don't want Steph.
Steph's going to play.
How does that impact your starting position?
Steph's going to start, but I won't tell you who else is going to start.
How exciting is it to get him back?
It's great, Steph Curry, so I don't think I need to elaborate.
Passing, you guys are passing, I think, more than 40 passes per game this year compared to last year. To what would you attribute? Is it personnel? Is it philosophy? Like, to what would you attribute?
It's kind of both. It's both, yeah. We're definitely trying to play faster, and part of the reason is we want to get the ball down the floor quickly so that we can then get organized and get our ball movement kicking in. And so playing faster for us, it's not the same for everybody, but for us, playing faster generally means more ball movement.
Steve, as a pretty good shooter yourself, with a guy like Corey Kispert on the opposing side coming into the league as a knockdown three-point shooter, from your own perspective in the league, how do you then adapt to what teams are going to scout for you to try and evolve within the NBA?
You mean if you're a young player like Corey, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is the speed of the game. You have to get used to that to start with. And, a shot that you can get off in college, you're not going to get off in the NBA. So everything happens a lot faster. And then the biggest thing is to get comfortable with that speed as it relates to your release of your shot. So for me, it was a matter of trying to quicken the release, but without compromising my rhythm. And then every player has to figure out who he is, what he is, where to make an impact on games, what are the shots that his coach wants him taking, those sorts of things.
Then, in the same aspect, for a guy who then evolves himself, putting it on the floor a lot more, attacking the paint, especially with the way that he can attack with a lot of force, how much does that, for your side, scouting him and trying to game plan for him, make it a little bit more difficult because he's not just behind that three-point line?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for all shooters, is what's your counter. If you develop into a good shooter, you automatically have a skill that the opponent has to respect. And so now they may be guarding you a little bit differently, so what's your counter to that? For me, I was never going to get to the rim, but I had to develop a little in-between shot, a pull-up or a runner. And again, it's up to every player to figure that out, what they're capable of, what they're not capable of, and adapting and adjusting to that.
I see your vote shirt. Does this, being in this city specifically, the night before the election, hold any extra significance for you and the team, or is it just another stop on the road trip?
No, it's very significant. Tomorrow's a big day, and we've been talking about it a lot. Just being here in our nation's capital, and there's a reason we're wearing these shirts. It's not just an NBA mandated thing. We believe in our democracy. We believe in voting. We want to encourage everybody to get out and vote. And honestly, regardless of who you're going to vote for, get out and vote. I think the biggest thing that will come out of tomorrow will be election integrity, which has never been a thing in my entire life until Donald Trump decided that it was going to be a thing. And in order for our democracy to thrive, not only do we citizens have to take part, but we also have to trust that these elections are not tainted, which they aren't. Fox News had to pay almost $1 billion to the Dominion voting company, the machines that count the votes, because they lied on the air about the efficacy of these machines. And so there's been all these lies that have been spread over the last 8 years about election integrity. People have been fooled into thinking there's irregularities. It's the most important part of a democracy, is for people to trust the election system. And so I would urge everybody to vote. Pick your reason to vote. I vote on issues like gun violence prevention, which is very important to me. Abortion rights for women. So not that it's any surprise I'm voting for Harris, but I'm also voting for democracy. I'm voting because I know whichever side wins, I know I'm going to respect the election integrity. I'm going to respect the fact that we've got tens of thousands of people out there working the polls who are getting harassed because of all the lies from Fox News, from Donald Trump, from their cohorts. And it's a direct assault on democracy. So get out and vote tomorrow. Pick who you want to vote for, but understand that these elections are legitimate, they're real. It's never been an issue, ever, in my lifetime, not a single instance of anybody, even thinking that the elections weren't legitimate until the convicted felon who's, running for office again decided to conjure up all this stuff to put fear in the air, which is a direct threat to our system and our democracy. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt. You probably weren't expecting that long of an answer. All right. That's right.
Sense any level of unease that around the team just considering the moment? Will you address it over the next couple of days, or I guess it makes sense?
We talked a little bit about it. I talked to Draymond a little bit about it today at our meeting. Just being here and feeling the anticipation going into tomorrow. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. I think, again, the biggest thing is that our democracy stays intact, our trust in our democracy. And there is a lot of angst about that because, again, in my lifetime, no president, no candidate, no party ever questioned the validity of the elections, especially without a shred of evidence contrary to that. So there's a lot of anxiety, I think, in that regard, even more so than who wins in some ways.
Steve, it's been almost 3 months, I think, since you spoke at the convention. Now that you look back on it, what was the most rewarding part of that experience for you?
I think just putting myself in a position where I wasn't comfortable, where I kind of put myself out there. I think on a personal level, I think to step into that arena was daunting, and I'm glad I was able to do it, in a way that wasn't controversial. My family was proud of me. So I'm gratified that I took part in our democracy. I was asked to do something, and I spoke my mind, and that was the main message that I wanted to get across, was that character matters, discipline. Discipline matters too, but decency matters. The strength of our country is the diversity of our country. The strength of our country is us, our people, and we're all Americans. And whether you're Republican, Democrat, rural, urban, we are Americans. We need to unite. We need to be together. And that was my message that night, and that's what I wanted to get across. And I hope that people recognize that, because I've got a lot of friends who live in countries where they don't have democracy. And they tell me all the time, it is fragile. Don't take it for granted. And, when you start questioning the validity of elections to try to gain power, you are dealing with a very fragile governmental system that you're trying to bring down in the name of power, which is the most anti-democratic thing I can think of. So that's why I spoke up, and that's the vibe, I think, going into the election tomorrow.
Do you or the team have plans for watching the election tomorrow?
No, we have a practice scheduled, and then, chances are it's going to be a while before any results are finalized. So we'll all be watching, I'm sure, when we get back to the hotel, and probably into the next day, too. Thanks.